Welcome back to the True Church of Jesus Christ with this Latter-day Saint. This episode we're digging in for that pearl of great price, and it's all about eating a particular type of bread. Either we're going to eat the bread of the world and the world's ideas, or we're going to try to eat some of the bread of Christ, the spiritual ideas. And accumulating the Christ, or living by the cross, is how we obtain this ancient Spirit of God, or to try to go to the other side, as it's called, have the veil torn off, or to uncover some of these mysteries within you. You got to worship in spirit and in truth. Now, it's kind of simple. The world comes with external ideas. It's like a big canopy. Everyone's under this tree of the material earth. And everybody that thinks externally, if they don't practice prayer, or at least practice some of the good virtues. The good virtues are what unlocks the mystery into walking into the Spirit, or walking or picking up your cross. The whole point is we're trying to find the light that enlightens all men within us. Is Jesus Christ real? Is God's real? Is following God's commandments even worth it? I know people in this day see eating the bread of this world. They think that good might not even be good enough to live in this world. Evil virtues have taken over, and doing good might be completely useless. That's why this struggle of good and evil is very important to understand. But what makes it easier for us, for the hardcores that are trying to walk through the door, so John chapter 10, to have a glimpse at this transcendental consciousness, to see even if there is a transcendental consciousness. Other people walk through the door, and that experience is what needs to happen in everybody's experience in life anyways. That's the goal of God. The goal of God is to introduce you to God himself. So John 14 verse 21, the whole goal of the gospel is to follow the virtues of good, the one good, and to graft yourself back onto a tree in order for God to realize itself within you, or to manifest itself within you. So that's what's receiving God's causeless mercy, or grafting yourself back onto the eternal tree. But there's a huge teaching to it as well. It's coming out of the mortal consciousness. And coming out of the mortal consciousness is all about how people think. See, this world, it has an umbrella, the sky, and everything and everybody's thoughts are projected outwardly and get trapped in this firmament. So because of these new revelations over at Prophetic Dreams from my lovely Jesus, he likes to talk about the electromagnetism of this earth, so the beast that rides around this earth, the circular force of the north and the south poles. Lately he's been saying that the souls, so everybody's thoughts, right, are connected to the electromagnetism of the earth, of the beast. So imagine bumper cars. You got a car. You got somebody inside this car. That's the soul. So that's the individual consciousness. And the individual consciousness is a little bit different than the car. You see, that's what taking birth is. Just like when people walk up to the bumper car is a little bit different than the actual person going inside the car. So that's the city of the body, of the 9 gates. The 9 gates, if there's no soul in it, is still attached to this nature effect. So the electromagnetism. And like that bumper car, it has a big string, and it attaches to the ceiling. And the ceiling is also electromagnetic, and it drives the car around. So even though there's nobody inside this car, that's the capacity of the human body, is that it has 9 gates, and if a soul enters into that car, then all of a sudden it's activated, but the car is attached to the ceiling, or to the firmament, to the north and south poles, or to the circular force. And in the beginning, this circular force has an evil or ignorant root added into it known as Satan. So just like the bumper cars are attached to the ceiling, so too is the human being. When he enters into the 9 gates, the 9 gates has a woman that sits on the throne of the beast, and around the beast is a dragon. So the woman represents mortal intelligence, or the law. And everybody that enters into the 9 gates, they're automatically viewed to the 2 gates, so the eyes. And the eyes view this world as just the bumper car attached to the ceiling. So all the person's thoughts are externalized, and they have 3 capacities: good, passion, and ignorance. So when the Master Jesus Christ says, see, this is also eating the bread of God, or the Word of God. Jesus Christ says, why do you call me good? There's only one good, and that's this infinite, invisible. That's very important, because as you can see, this external consciousness that's hooked up to the nature effect, see, everybody's under this dome of the sky, but very intimately as well, because their minds are also attached to the electromagnetism of the firmament, just like the bumper cars attached to the ceiling. This is why men have no will, because they're already inside of this nature effect, and it propels the course of time, if you could say. But it's not necessarily time that the individuals are experiencing. What they're experiencing is age. That's why there's certain ages, certain effects, as this earth spins around the electromagnetism of the firmament. It creates age, certain times. The Lord is eternal time. So he's the external representation of all of this activity. And the dead branches now come from the spiritual kingdom. They used to have a bright nature until an enemy has done this and has taken them out of the spiritual world and into this nature effect, into this electromagnetism of death. That's also the throne that sits on this beast. And this beast rides around the electromagnetism of pleasures. And the queen that sits on the throne, the material intelligence, she eats the bread of the Pharisees, because that's all she knows. She just knows this environment. It's very important to understand when the soul enters into this body. It's just like the person entering into a bumper car. You're in a certain pattern of behavior. So the bumper car only does a specific function. It's an amusement game, you see. It's just there for sense gratification. Just to gratify the sense of running around and bumping into each other. That's the normal conditioned consciousness, so the dead branch. They run around in a body that has a queen. And this queen is also tied to hell. That's why there's gravity. So the thoughts gravitate downwards towards the beast of pleasure. And this earth is tied to hell. And also death. So the throne. The woman sits on the throne. And here's the thing about following the bread of God. We're learning how to detach from the queen. Our own intelligence, so the flesh. No flesh can enter into the kingdom of God. So that's what being reborn means. We're looking for now this one consciousness. You notice how I just say it as this parable, how the queen, she sits on the throne. She doesn't have a consciousness. She is just this temporal effect, Mother Nature, or her own intelligence, you see. It's not necessarily the one consciousness, or the one intelligence, or the omniscience of God. God is different from this. As he says in these discourses, when he went up to Pilate, my kingdom is not of this world. That's why we're practicing the bread of God. And in Matthew 16, verse 5, about the bread of the Pharisees, The external living consciousness, you could say, the living entity, the dead branch, who just thinks there's all, like basically like this 9 gates, that's all that life is. Just their own intelligence, just this world of the beast, and then they're going to die. They haven't found out the secret gate or the 10th gate within the heart. See, that's what we're on the mission for. We're on the mission to discover God within us. The kingdom of God is within us. And most of it has to deal with the leaven of the Pharisees. So what type of ideas that we're taking in? Philosophy. How we're living our life. Are we taking up this process of self-realization? Are we trying to be reborn with a renewed mind day by day by day? See, that's kind of what this world is about as well, too. Just with the bumper cars, it's about sense gratification. And there's no point to it. That's exactly what God kind of says, or what these scriptures say about creation, that there's no point to creation. It's just a soul that entered into a body to just pleasure itself with unlimited desires. So the human condition, mostly, people don't know what they're doing. Look at the bumper car example. If you walk up to the bumper cars, you know exactly what they're there for. Just to have fun. But when you look at another human being in the same time and space, you have no idea why they're there. See this lost and fallen state? If you could identify why a bumper car is in existence, to go out and have fun with it, when you look at another human being, this is what constitutes the lost and fallen state, is you don't know why there's another human being there. Why is he there? Why is these other human beings around? You see this confusion? This fallen dead branch? The fallen dead branch identify with the worldly effects and just the worldly intelligence, which is guided towards sense objects of good. So like, well, a good wife. Yeah, that's why Jesus Christ says, only I am good, the Spirit, the infinite invisible. And the more we eat the bread of God, the more it uncovers the invisible within us. So as St. Paul says, our sight now is not towards the world. It's within ourselves, and we're seeking, asking, and knocking. That's why these parables are important. To understand that you're in the city of the 9 gates. And the material intelligence is always trying to captivate you into the pleasures of the beast. And this world is universal. So everybody else is the dead branches on this universal plane of the earth. Everybody else is connected to the firmament. And what the Master says in these dreams over at the YouTube channel there is that everybody's mind and soul is first dead. It's in a dead state in this nature because death is around your body. And now what you're doing is trying to renew your soul into real life, which is me. I am the life. But if the dead branches don't inquire about me or about life, then all of their souls are dead and fallen branches, since they take up a body that's already dead in this nature of the beast. So just like a bumper car, it's a dead hunk of matter, but the living entities still go inside it. It's the same thing with a soul. King Puranjana walks around the world a little bit, and then he enters into the city of the 9 gates, but the city is already dead because it's in this dead, lost, and fallen state. And every other living entity, see their soul thinking? Well, it creates pictures of the beast because of the queen's intelligence. And when people think and they feel about this world, it's all connected to the North and South Pole. And everybody's thoughts are connected as well to this dead material nature, just like the bumper car is connected to the roof of the ceiling. And eating the bread of Christ, it cuts us off. So just imagine you cut the cord of the bumper car. It's no longer attached to the ceiling. So when we eat the bread of Christ, it takes us away from the nature effect or from the law, as St. Paul says. That is what the bread of Christ does. This is what the cross really does in one's life. It's renewing you away from Satan. Because you cannot see this electromagnetism. But the weather guy can. He can see it with his technology. It works almost like a dolphin, how they send sonar into the waves in order for them to navigate. Well, men do that with machines. They send out pulses in order to detect the weather patterns in this electromagnetism. Men have mastered the fact that this creation runs off of patterns and effects. The Farmer's Almanac, if you look at that, it could already determine the seasons, the temperatures for years and years and years, because that's what this effect is. It's a patterned, conditioned consciousness. The whole nature effect is. That's why the Farmer's Almanac, or the human beings, they can determine the weather for years and years ahead, like cheaters. They can look into the future, but it's not looking into the future because nature is a patterned, conditioned consciousness. And every single dead branch is connected to the patterned, conditioned consciousness of the other human beings. So they take up likenesses, but not of the truth. See, there is no truth in them, because truth doesn't necessarily come from the earth. It springs up from the earth. We have to lift up the Son of God. So in this conditioned nature, God's not circling around in this electromagnetic force of the North and South poles. Satan is. That's what God cast a dragon and wrapped around this earth. So everybody's thoughts now are kind of like the bumper car, but they're attached to a dead nature. And they're eating the bread of the Pharisees, which is the ideas of everybody pumping out. See, when everybody thinks in life, they all have a mind. There's 9 billion thinkers on this planet Earth. And they're all polluting the planet Earth with their contaminated thoughts more than the cars are. The cars are not the problem of global warming. But the real problem is CERN destroying the electromagnetism. But that's eating the bread. Now, this is the idea of the bread of the Pharisees. The world's been telling you that mankind's responsible for the environment changing, for the catastrophes that he's experiencing, for these heats, global warming as it's called. But that's the bread of the Pharisees. Just like Matthew chapter 16, the disciples didn't understand the bread of the Pharisees because they ate all up the global conspiracy of global warming. They ate it up. They ate up Al Gore's nonsense. That your car's not polluting the environment. Your mind is polluting the environment. And because the mind is so polluted in this realm of sin and darkness and lies, the intelligence of the queen has been crippled over time. So in a prior time, like let's say in Lao Tzu's time, the queen, the woman's intelligence, she was a beautiful queen back then, because that queen was geared more towards transcendental consciousness or God. But now the queen, the material intelligence, she's a fat, ugly whore. And everybody that gets put into this nature effect now has the indulgence of the beast. Over the past 100 years, men have been exploiting Mother Nature into gratifying their pleasures. You see, everything that they ever wanted is now available to everybody. And your cell phone, well, the representative of the mind, the electromagnetism there in that cell phone allows you to get whatever you want. See, this beast of the pleasure is highly illegal in its activities, in supplying the living entities with whatever they want. Because even the exploiters do not go by the seasons of this beast. So you know what cheats Mother Nature? is the fact that you can get an apple every in the middle of the winter time in your grocery stores. See, that's what's cheating the beast. But men aren't smart enough to understand the cycles of the beast. They think it's normal to have apples any given time of the year. So what is this secret force operating in man that's creating exploitation and greed beyond belief? It's, see, this darkness that no one believes in anymore, it's actually Satan exploiting the earth conditions. Mankind has not been smart enough. He went from, you could say, picking donkeys' arses over in the year 1500 to all of a sudden cracking the atom and making large hadron colliders. Man is not smart enough for his science in this age. You see this beast? The nature effect of Satan can increase the beast's electromagnetic output, so it produces more ideas for the living entities to eat up, the bread of the Pharisees. So if science has been sped up over the course of humanity for the past, 100 years, science has expelled or excelled its secrets to humanity. That means the beast of the earth has been running very fast, faster than 24 hours, because mankind cannot build up the intelligence for the mad science that it has. See, the beast is a little bit ahead in time and in intelligence of technology, more so than the dead branches. The dead branches in the year 2024, because they eat the bread of the world, their conscious state is about 300 years behind of this beast that's running into the future with its electromagnetic pulse of the earth. It's a scientific beast now. It's an artificial beast now. Now it's not clothed with the minerals of the earth. It's clothed in a mad science lab. Not only that, but like a robot. See, men have made this earth, you could say, artificial or robotic. And what I'm trying to say is that the nature forces excelled time or excelled evolution faster than the mortal consciousness and contamination. This is why it's so important to have God consciousness, or else you'll never understand how the human beings are still far behind in their understanding of how life works in the year 2024, where they're playing around with CERN facilities. The magnitude of our science is astounding, where men are pulling a single atom out of space with these machines. But nobody thinks that's like, and opening up dimensions too. Who gave like these ideas of dimensions? Men didn't have that 100 years ago. You see, the beast had to run its course a little bit faster. And that's time. Time had to speed up a little bit faster. So that's what this devil did. In the year 1900, men they had a vague concept of an atom. They didn't even think atoms were real. They were still wrestling with the ancient Greeks, because the ancient Greeks gave them the idea of the atom. But man was still trying to find this atom and what it was all about, so he could control what? Oh, nature. That's what this technology gave him. So when man, now in 1900s, he did find the mysteries of the atom. But the human beings, the dead branches, because they're eating the bread of Pharisees, of the ignorance of this world, the average human being is still so far behind in his intellectual understanding of this world, his scientific understanding, his spiritual understanding. See, this is what happens if you just are a fallen dead branch and you don't eat the bread of God. God just made the fallen dead branches experts at eating food. So that's what the human being is. Over the course of human evolution, we look at the year 2024, what all this is accumulating to. The average living entity is expert at eating food. He's very good at eating food. The basic principles hasn't been, you could say, lifted up past its normal capacity. So that's why there's an extreme amount of ignorance in the average population. Is there still experts at eating food? Yep. Arranging their chicken wings out a certain particular flavor. I know, I'm thinking about the economy is all about cars. Henry Ford. No, it's not about cars. They were trying to do this mad science experiment and make the beast of the earth artificial ever since the 1920s, when that stock market crashed. It wasn't about your cars. It was about money and how money can be pumped and exploited to build this electrical beast, this artificial intelligence, this artificial beast of the earth. But either way, what we have now is just this artificial beast giving men his pleasures, and it's all done electronically because he plays his video games. See this TV world? The beast is artificial now. You don't get pleasure out in the world anymore. You get pleasure with electronics, the bread of the Pharisees. And that's what keeps the ignorance way down. So no one understands what this world is revolving around. It's not revolving around eating. It's not revolving around your going to work, because now in the year 2024, people are losing their jobs. They're losing it now, just like they were doing in the 1920s, just before the big reset, which is what this digital beast is trying to do. It's trying to collect all the dead branches into one system, into one government system. That's what this dead beast is trying to do with the dead branches on earth. But God, you see, has a different plan. And this is how you eat the bread of God, by understanding the plan. So there's a way out of this beast, out of the 9 gates. But the way is repentance. So within you, there's a secret gate within the heart. And by turning away from the material intelligence, from the corruption of the earth, trying to get men now to look at the phone, the idolatry of our day, and to exploit the material nature with all their pleasures with this phone. And no one can get out of the fact of this time, this age. You see this age? It's heavily scientific. That's what separates the sheep and the goats. Not understanding age, what age we live in. You see, just like vintage wine, when you put grapes out in time, it ages into something that we're familiar with. We get wine. But when the human being aged ever since the year, I don't know, what, 1900s, the early then, he aged into this mad scientist. And the world revolves around this mad science, this CERN facility, more so than it does your car. Because that's what the dead branches, see, get hypnotized into believing about this life, is that it revolves just around a little person and a sense that you have to gratify with that person. See, that's what also keeps the thoughts. If you just think about your earthly circumstance and condition, just imagine your legs. They're tied to hell as well, so they're on fire. Because that's a part of the bread of the Pharisees. Believing in modern man's age. In this age, if you believe that this life is just like the good old American Pie days, to just get a wife and a house, and that's about it. See, that's what the beast now. The beast is a digital, crazy Frankenstein, mechanical beast. And it devours all of the living entities in this day and age, because they all fell for that trap of the cell phone and believing in this time. That they still have to go out and live this propaganda way of life. People are finding out now, see, that's what the dead branches are finding out, that it's not worth engaging in this digital beast. Their efforts are coming into vain, or their fruits are not looking into or being fruitful anymore. The people's efforts are starting to dwindle. That's because this age is going to age out. There's going to be a new wine where the kingdom of God and its promises, that's why it's important to get these revelations, is to eat the bread of Christ, because it's supposed to renew this whole entire, the beast isn't going to be a beast anymore. It's going to be a field of white. So the prophecy of Daniel. Now Daniel's statue is a digital statue, and it walks on a digital beast. And it doesn't need to walk on them anymore. The living entities just attach themselves to this statue of Daniel with their cell phones. So that's the external society. It's crushing all of the people, because all of the people are attached now, not just to the earth anymore. See, that's what Satan deceived the world in. He took them away from not only the consciousness of the earth, Mother Nature, but he also took them away from the one consciousness, God or Jesus Christ. Why? Because of man's power. See that statue of Daniel? Man just need a cell phone now to connect itself to this one consciousness of the statue of Daniel. Its societies. It doesn't need anything else, not even a philosophy. It just needs a cell phone. Try to understand the bread of the Pharisees. If you're born in this world and you have a 1-year-old child, all you have to do is just give him a cell phone, and he's already attached to this statue of Daniel. He doesn't have to do any work. See, that's what the devil did to man. He took him away from nature. Now people get their life or their sense of life all from the cell phone. And that's what created this fake anti-Christ, anti-one consciousness, because it's an artificial consciousness. And not only that, but now it's truly an artificial consciousness, because what links man together is just a cell phone. No commandments, no principles, no nothing. You don't even have to care about your fellow man. What you do is just get a cell phone, you see, this easy get pleasure. That is what the digital beast is. So when the dead branches now come into this age, they're all connected to the digital statue that's walking on this digital earth, powered by the electromagnetism of the earth and the firmament, and also the living entities themselves. Satan operates within the dead branches. That's why God calls them the dead branches. So this darkness operates in man's mind, and man's mind now has idolatry. He just gets a cell phone for his life, for everything on it too. His love life, especially the genitalia. See, that's when you look at the human consciousness, all you gotta do is look at a cell phone. And look what all the other human beings are doing. They're just having sex. They are just hypnotized with the pleasure of the beast. So like 8 billion of these dead branches are posting online their sex life. You see how the human being is so backwards and unintelligent. The dead branches just focus on eating, drinking, and fornicating. All 8 billion of them are on this cell phone doing the lower basic nature. And they have no clue what time they're in and how humanity has aged into this time. So it's very deceptive now when you walk into this world and you're just handed a cell phone and you're a part of everything. See, God is the allness of consciousness, not your cell phone. Your cell phone pretends to be the allness of consciousness, because whatever you desire, you can get on the cell phone very easily because of the digital beast. It's pleasured or contaminated man's mind to such a great degree of control. So if people don't believe me, Adam Curtis in his documentaries does the best job at telling us the secret societies and how they are hidden control mechanisms of thought, the bread of the Pharisees, and what people think this life is all about. So in the 1960s and 1970s, the biggest propagators of life, quote unquote, was just your teenage, adulterous, fornicating good times. You got movies like The Grease with John Travolta. See, if people eat the bread of the Pharisees and they think that's what life is about, well, they get eaten up by the beast. And the beast is attached to the fires of hell. Those are all hellish conditions because they're illegal behaviors in the one consciousness. So if you're just a fornicating fool, that's the American condition. You see, the American conditioned themselves. This eagle, it flew around the beast and it made fornication okay. It flew around the beast to make sure that the living entities or the dead branches are eating more darkness or ill religion. It circled ill religion a lot quicker. So I know time, you see, the earth goes around the sun and it produces its own effect, but the eagle did it too. The eagle flew around the earth very quickly and it produced darkness. So over the course of, the 1940s, so before the war, there was good in this world. There was still a little bit of light in this dark world. But when the Americans dropped the bomb, that's when this eagle took flight and it went around the world really, really fast and it took away any light that was in it or any good. The Leave It to Beaver days. You can tell this by TV. See, consciousness, television, the state of human consciousness. So we want to go to the state of human consciousness in the 1940s before the eagle started being more corrupt. We get to look at Leave It to Beaver. Good old American Pie. See, that consciousness does not exist anymore. What happened was there's more rebellion, this teenage nonsense. So that's what people were eating up, or this eagle was flying around this earth, creating more darkness, creating more ill religion. But there's, again, with darkness, a hidden plan. They were trying to make this earth digital in the 1950s and 1960s. And they did it with corporate America, another big idea that went around in darkness. And this is how the eagle flies faster than the beast in time because of ideas, darkness, Satan. Satan can give the human beings darkness and they could fly around the beast faster to create progress. So over the course of 1950s and 60s, they have the degeneration of America, the collapse, because an idea went around to be more rebellious. So in the 1950s and 60s, you got the hippies, those stinking hippies, just doing themselves wherever and whenever. These stinking hippies. See that idea of rock and roll? The Americans, the eagle, flew around the earth. And rock and roll, the idea, this age, it went around the earth. Darkness. Because rock and roll in its root is ill religion. So by the 1970s come around, we just have a bunch of dead drug addicts. Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy whoever, Janis whoever, all of these just useless drug addicts. See, that's the product now. See what men eat the fruit off of the tree of their labors? This is what knowing good and evil does, or the effects of what they call karma, or under the law. Men are under the law. So by the time Leave It to Beaver dissipated out of existence, we have Janis whoever and Jimmy drunk just getting bombed off of whatever. A whole debauched generation. That's the fruits of evil, the course of time, and it aged into this evil where just people are The whole 70s generation was all about party. Not yet. We're not in the age of party yet, bruh. That's the cocaine age. Then we start in the 80s. All that eagle. It flies really fast. Faster than 24 hours a day. Because now there's more living entities generated in time and space than there ever has before. There's more human beings in existence than any single time there was. See, this age, it produces more darkness because of the ideas. Because there's more dead branches on this earth. So that eagle's flying around ill religion, especially socially. It's degenerating the human beings with pleasure of the senses, and they don't understand when you're born in this earth, you have no clue what this place is doing and its activities and functions. So the 1980s, this is when I was born now. God placed me in this space-time continuum with this eagle, corrupt, polluting this earth with ill religion. That's the MTV era. Oh, now you can just do whatever you want now. You can see the MTV era. Oh, buddy. That further degenerated into the Jerry Springer era, the 90s, into what we have now, which is all these pride flag losers. You see the age and how this ill religion fruit ripened up for humanity? He doesn't like the taste of this age. Why doesn't he like the taste of this age? Because of the former ancestry. So the 50s and 60s, the ill-religious eagle, America, flying around the world, creating its ideas of how to live. And men are eating the fruits of it, but they don't like it. It's all rotten. The music now is all rotten. The sports are all rotten. Why is it all rotten? Because of this I could do whatever I want era, this Bart Simpson attitude that came out of the 1980s. Don't have a cow, man. Yeah, you see how the human being degenerates? If one human being says don't have a cow, he's connected to the collective, all the other dead branches, and then they start saying don't have a cow. So this whole eagle of ill religion and disobedience flew around the earth. Where now that's all the people have been growing up in. So when you enter the body of the 9 gates in this material world, you're in this world that's so corrupt and dark because of other people's thinking. And who's been doing this phenomenon? See this darkness? God gives Satan the ability to create darkness around the earth if people just choose ill religion of the beast, pleasures of the flesh, pleasures of the senses, especially sex. So that's what Satan and this eagle has been exploiting from the corrupt dead branches who have no clue about their spiritual origins or heritage or even how to live. See, Satan exploits with sex. That's why drugs, rock and roll, the eagle flew around the earth, corrupting men with sex. Not just drugs, because when you do drugs, you're more probable. It's not that drugs are, see, the spiritual idea is not what enters the mouth that defiles and makes a lie. No drug on earth is going to make you do anything. But to the weak-minded men it does. They do it, then they think about whatever. See what God does in the mind? Very simple. Eating, drinking, and fornicating. And the simpletons are on like an electrical beast since the 50s and 60s. The simpletons get caught up in the rock and roll, man, and the loser lifestyle, man, because that's all there is in this life for them, the dead branch. Eating, drinking, and having sex. And that's what this beast and this devil has made man focus on, especially that rotten fruit of sexuality. In this day and age, men are women and women are men. Why are so much people focused on their genitalia? Especially just cutting it up like a sausage. Like some guy in the deli just lays up there a salami and just cut. Men want to be like women. Why? They want to defy. See, this defiance, Satan, defy. Who puts in the minds of men to defy biology? Especially just simpletons. Idiot average fools that just think about eating, drinking, and sex. So some man wants to carve out his genitalia out of defiance, put a uterus in there and then have a baby because he wants to defy nature. Why does men want to defy nature? That's just ridiculous. Who puts those thoughts into man? If you look at the Leave It to Beaver age, nobody was thinking about chopping up their genitalia and sticking a baby up in there, especially men. Men were not thinking about becoming women. See, who did this? Who did this? An enemy has done this. The bread of the Pharisees, the ideas and the belief of the world, they've aged, but they aged into sour apples, especially about sexuality. Why are fools just simpletons, dead branches, that just think about eating anyways, drinking, and fornicating? Why would another guy want to fornicate with another guy, scoop up his genitals, slap in a uterus, and just pretend to have children? Why? See, if people don't understand the age that we live in, oh God, you're never going to understand why people are doing what they're doing. Why is there rainbow flags all over the place? I don't know. And for the people that don't know the other dead branches, that's their answer. They don't know. They don't know why people are insane these days. The age of humanity. Well, I just explained it. Who's been riding the eagle? Remember, there's a queen, a big, fat, greedy queen, and that's Mother Nature's intelligence. She sits right at the head of the eagle. And since the eagle is a beast, it's an electromagnetic beast full of pleasures, deluding the living entities into this false conception of life through sex and debauchery of just sexual concepts, especially the fruits of sexuality now. Oh, and guess who else is wrapped around there? Death. Death. We're in a realm of death. Satan. Satan is also on this throne of the eagle. Man is not on this. See, he operates outside of this mortal realm. But through his darkness, like a dark mist, all the living entities have to do is just embrace ideas and concepts in order for the darkness to enter. But they'll never fly with the eagle. See, the secret society, they'll never fly with the eagle. They'll never know who's doing this. Who's doing this? Oh, they're never going to know who's doing this. You think your average fool nowadays, see, I live in Hamilton, Ontario. So we go to Belleville, Ontario. We just got a population full of drug addicts. Just people doing crack cocaine, doing whatever. They declared a state of emergency. So these are all the dead branches that fell into that rock and roll lifestyle. You see that lifestyle of the eagle? Very corrupt and very evil. So how do the average fools that are just eating drugs all day going to understand the age that they live in? Why is this like that? You see, they'll never build up the capacity. That's why the average human being gets eaten up by the beast. He's already tied in the law, and they all go to hell because they don't even inquire. They don't even want to know. They just get eaten up by the pleasures of their own flesh, which nowadays just sitting around and doing nothing. That's what the people are up. They're very expert, you see, the dead branches, at sitting around and doing nothing. That's also what they're very expert in. Like I said, the average human being is so far behind, it's not even funny. And understanding just what's going on in the world these days, and on top of that, God, you're going to need a very good teacher. So that's what guys like me are for. Teaching how this earth is going around in this state of ill religion. But it's prophecy. It's all coming to an end. So God's hidden hand, or his church, is going to break that digital statue of Daniel. I had a lot of fun with this Bread of the Pharisees discourse, and I think I'm going to call it quits right there. And I'll get into what I really wanted to preach, which is actual scripture. But yeah, that's the idea of eating the bread of life. It's getting us away from this temporal effect. And now I hope you can understand why this world is the way it is. It's because people choose ill religion. They don't understand that they're in a realm of ill religion. And they're letting ill religion just eat up the fruits of life. So that's why there's no good social life anymore. There's no good friendships, no good family. You can't have any good because of the age. Men are in this corrupt time. So over the course of the 1980s, you had that MTV age. It doesn't produce any good. And then you had the Jerry Springer age. So when men try to get the fruits of friendship and try to get the fruits of life itself, it's a rotten fruit, because men have been practicing or indulging the pleasures of the beast or the senses. So until next time, I'll do another video right after this. But until next time, take care.